At precisely 3:15 a.m. hours local time, the Persian Gulf transformed into a theater of invisible warfare, where electromagnetic dominance would prove more decisive than explosive power. The darkness concealing the waters below offered no protection against what was about to unfold, a military operation that would redefine modern combat doctrine. The target, OGAB 44, a $3.2 billion underground fortress carved deep into the Zagros Mountains, representing Iran's most ambitious military infrastructure project. The operation began not with stealth penetration, but with overwhelming firepower. At 02:45 a.m., the USS Arleigh Burke and USS Porter, two Ticonderoga-class guided missile destroyers positioned in international waters, opened their vertical launch cells. 47 BGM-109 Tomahawk cruise missiles erupted from the ships in rapid succession, their turbofan engines igniting as they descended to wave-top altitude, racing toward the Iranian coastline at 550 miles per hour. These missiles targeted the network of early warning radar installations scattered across Iran's southern defense perimeter, a calculated opening move designed to create temporary blind spots in the integrated air defense system. Within the Combat Information Center aboard the USS Gerald Ford, positioned 180 nautical miles offshore, officers monitored the unfolding assault through wall-sized digital displays. An E-3 Sentry AWACS aircraft orbited at 30,000 feet, its rotating radar dome painting a comprehensive picture of airspace activity across a 250-mile radius. The air battle managers aboard this flying command post possessed what ground commanders could never have: the complete three-dimensional battlefield unfolding in real time, every aircraft tracked, every threat cataloged. The Tomahawks struck with surgical precision. 6 coastal radar stations experienced catastrophic failures within a 3-minute window. But Iranian air defense doctrine, refined through decades of anticipating American attack patterns, had prepared for exactly this scenario. The installations being destroyed were hardened decoys, older systems deliberately positioned to absorb the first wave while preserving primary defensive networks. Within 8 minutes, backup radar systems activated, Iranian operators calmly switching to redundant equipment positioned in concealed locations. At 03:01 a.m., 4 F-35C Lightning II launched from the Ford's deck, their afterburners carving brilliant arcs against the pre-dawn sky. Flying in full combat configuration with external weapons pylons, they appeared deliberately visible on radar screens. Call signs Viper 1 through Viper 4 accelerated toward the Iranian coast, their mission profiles uploaded, target coordinates locked. To Iranian air defense commanders monitoring from deep within OGAB 44's reinforced command center, these stealth fighters represented the primary threat vector, requiring immediate response. The Iranian defensive posture demonstrated sophisticated strategic thinking. Their S-400 Triumph and domestically produced Bavar 373 missile systems remained powered down, maintaining complete electromagnetic silence. Instead, they relied on extensive passive sensor networks, infrared detection arrays, and electro-optical tracking stations positioned across mountain peaks that could locate aircraft without revealing their own positions through radar emissions. This network fed data through fiber optic cables buried 10 meters underground, physically isolated from any network the Americans might penetrate digitally. What made Iran's approach particularly formidable was its air-gapped architecture. American cyber operations had indeed compromised numerous systems in preceding weeks, but the critical infrastructure protecting OGAB 44
operated on physically separated networks. Independent power generators supplied electricity. Communication flowed through sealed fiber optic lines. The Iranian military had studied American operations in Iraq, Serbia, and Libya, absorbing lessons written in others' blood. At 0312 a.m., the tactical equation shifted dramatically. Iranian passive sensors successfully tracked all 4 F-35Cs, feeding coordinate data to the isolated network to missile batteries. As the American fighters crossed into the engagement zone, 6 Bavar 373 fire control radars activated simultaneously, flooding the night sky with targeting emissions. Missile hatches opened across 3 separate launch sites hidden in mountain valleys. The F-35 pilots received immediate threat warnings, multiple target locks converging from different vectors, the nightmare scenario every fighter pilot trains to survive. But Iranian commanders, laser-focused on the approaching stealth fighters, failed to account for the broader operational design. The E-3 Sentry, orbiting far to the south, detected the radar activations within milliseconds. Encrypted data links transmitted target coordinates to assets already airborne and positioned.
2 EA-18G Growlers, the Navy's dedicated electronic attack aircraft, had been holding station at the combat zone's edge. These modified Super Hornets carried ALQ-99 jamming pods and AGM-88G ARGM-ER anti-radiation missiles. At the AWACS command, both Growlers accelerated to combat speed, their systems immediately cataloging Iranian radar emissions. The AGM-88G missiles launched first, utilizing sophisticated algorithms, allowing them to remember radar positions even after emissions ceased. High-powered jamming began simultaneously. Electromagnetic noise flooded radar frequencies, creating interference walls that degraded targeting precision. Iranian fire control operators watched their displays dissolve into digital chaos. Several Bavar 3073 missiles launched anyway, relying on inertial guidance and optical backup systems, but their accuracy had been compromised. The F-35Cs executed pre-planned evasive maneuvers, deploying chaff and flares, while breaking formation at 9G turns that pushed human physiology to its limits. For 6 intense minutes, electronic battle raged at light speed. The Growlers systematically dismantled radar coverage, forcing defensive systems to choose between shutdown or destruction. But the Iranian military had anticipated this scenario. The radar installations being targeted were expendable decoys, older systems deliberately exposed to draw anti-radiation missiles away from primary defensive networks. At 0319 hours, Iran's real counterstrike materialized. Hidden S-300 PMU-2 batteries, maintaining complete electromagnetic silence until this moment, activated engagement radars. These systems, positioned in carefully prepared sites invisible to satellite reconnaissance, represented the second defensive layer. Simultaneously, upgraded Khordad-15 mobile launchers emerged from camouflaged positions, employing hybrid guidance, initial infrared tracking, transitioning to active radar only in terminal phase, minimizing exposure to American countermeasures. 42 missiles climbed toward their targets at hypersonic speeds. The tactical situation had reversed. The American strike package, designed to penetrate and destroy OGAB-44, now fought for survival. The E-3 Sentry controllers recognized the crisis immediately. The F-35Cs could evade most threats, but the Growlers, laden with external equipment, faced genuine danger. This moment revealed the operation's true centerpiece, an aircraft designated Ghost Rider, orbiting at 42,000 feet and appearing on all sensors as a civilian business jet, had been present throughout the engagement. The EA-37B Compass Call, based on a modified Gulfstream G550 airframe,
represented electronic warfare's evolution from brute force jamming to cognitive penetration. Unlike the Growlers' approach of overwhelming enemy systems with electromagnetic noise, the EA-37B employed something far more sophisticated. Its onboard suite, designated SWORD-A, utilized artificial intelligence to conduct cognitive electronic warfare. The system didn't destroy Iranian equipment, it corrupted the information flowing through it. The vulnerability lay in fundamental physics. While Iran's fiber optic network was isolated from internet connectivity, it wasn't isolated from physics itself. At connection points, where underground cables met mobile launchers, minute electromagnetic radiation leaked from metal connectors and processing equipment. These side-channel emissions represent unavoidable consequences of high-speed electronic operations. The RC-135V rivet joint reconnaissance aircraft, operating in tandem with the EA-37B, had spent hours mapping these electromagnetic signatures. Its extraordinarily sensitive antenna arrays detected patterns invisible to conventional sensors, the faint electromagnetic heartbeat of Iran's supposedly sealed network. At 0321 hours, with Iranian missiles climbing toward their American aircraft, the EA-37B descended to 38,000 feet and accelerated toward Iran's coast. The 7-member crew understood the risk explicitly. To generate sufficient signal strength to penetrate Iran's physical security measures, they needed to close within 149 nautical miles, well within engagement range of long-range surface-to-air missiles. The SWORD-A system activated at maximum power. Through microscopic gaps in Iran's electromagnetic isolation, it began injecting carefully crafted data packets into the command network. These weren't random interference, they were surgical insertions designed to mimic legitimate communications while subtly distorting critical information. Target coordinates shifted by 300 meters. Timing synchronization developed latency errors. Missile battery status reports reflected false readiness states. Iranian operators saw data that appeared completely normal. Systems showed green indicators. Communications flowed smoothly, but the information itself had been poisoned at the bit level, corrupted in ways that wouldn't become apparent until missiles missed targets or commands executed with fatal delays.
The Iranian Air Defense Network, detecting the EA-37B's unusual electronic emissions, recognized it as a high-value target. A reserve S-300 battery, deliberately held back for this contingency, activated its engagement radar and allocated 4 48N6E3 missiles to the threat. Launch came at 0323 hours. The missiles, traveling at Mach 6, would reach the EA-37B in under 2 minutes. The electronic warfare officers aboard Ghost Rider had anticipated this response. Rather than attempting evasion, impossible for an aircraft with business jet performance characteristics, they intensified their electronic attack. The EASA emitters along the aircraft's fuselage activated at maximum output, directing focused electromagnetic energy beams at the incoming missile's data link antennas and the ground control station managing them. The race was measured in milliseconds. The spoofing attack targeted the data link, providing mid-course updates, flooding it with false information contradicting the missile's onboard radar returns. At 4.8 nautical miles from impact, the missile's safety systems detected irreconcilable data conflicts. Built-in safeguards interpreted this as evidence of guidance corruption. Self-destruct mechanisms activated, creating 4 harmless fireballs in the night sky. But the EA-37B's mission produced effects far beyond self-preservation. The SWORD-A system had successfully penetrated OGAB 44's command architecture. The underground base's security doors, controlled by hydraulic systems managed through networked computers, received conflicting operational commands. The doors, weighing thousands of tons and designed to seal the facility against bunker-buster penetrators, froze in a partially open position, neither fully protected nor fully operational. At 0326 hours, the final phase commenced. 4 F-15EX Eagle II fighters, carrying 29,500 pounds of ordnance each, launched from the Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar an hour earlier, flying a circuitous route outside Iranian radar coverage. The E-3 Sentry guided them to target coordinates with meter-level precision. These aircraft were configured as bomb trucks. Each carried 4 GBU-72B advanced 5K penetrator munitions, 5,000-pound bunker busters with hardened casings designed to defeat reinforced concrete before detonation. The targeting wasn't the mountain itself, but the compromised access points. The bombs fell at 0328 hours. GPS guided within 3 meters of aim points, they struck the jammed doorways and ventilation shaft openings. The explosions achieved their purpose through precision rather than pure destructive force. Thousands of tons of shattered rock and twisted steel collapsed into access tunnels. Ventilation systems, critical for sustaining sealed underground operations, suffered catastrophic damage. Inside OGAB 44, reality became inescapable. The base remained structurally intact, but functionality had been eliminated. Aircraft couldn't launch from blocked runways. Drones couldn't deploy through collapsed shafts. The facility had been transformed into an elaborate storage vault for equipment that could neither fight nor retreat. The American strike package withdrew at 0335 hours, having achieved objectives without losing a single aircraft. The geopolitical ripple effects far beyond this engagement. Iran discovered that heavily defended installations can be neutralized without direct destruction, that physical network isolation provides no absolute security against sufficiently advanced attack methodologies. The United States demonstrated capabilities blurring distinctions between cyber operations and kinetic strikes, revealing digital-physical warfare integration that most militaries cannot replicate. American power projection doesn't require overwhelming force. It requires the ability to corrupt decision-making processes, to turn adversary systems against themselves, to achieve strategic effects through informational superiority rather than explosive tonnage. For the Middle East, this operation fundamentally alters the deterrence equation. Iran's investments in hardened facilities have proven vulnerable to approaches that disable rather than destroy. Regional allies and adversaries must now question whether physical protection alone provides security. The future character of conflict has shifted. Wars may increasingly be decided not by firepower, but who controls the information environment.